For more than 2 centuries, especially ever since a group of kids came upon a circular impression on the ground of this small island off the south coast of Nova Scotia, Oak Island has been one of the most fabled locations where many men have searched for hidden treasure in and around what is now known as the Money Pit. Alas, the rumored treasure has remained hidden throughout this time, but despite this, it seems as though these men have refused to be discouraged by this disappointing lack of proof that some pirate or some royal personality had indeed buried their vast fortune on Oak Island. What you'd find is that even till this day, there are still some who are drilling through the earth on Oak Island, eagerly looking to succeed where others have failed time and time again. In recent years, the Lagina brothers, in collaboration with the A&E network, have attempted to tackle this maddening task of finding treasure on Oak Island, and although they've made some groundbreaking discoveries on the island, they also made a frightening discovery at the base of the Money Pit that shook the crew down to their very core. Let's join them as they search for their fortune and see what terrifying discoveries these men have made as they carry out the final excavation on Oak Island. As the Lagina brothers and the curse of the Oak Island crew dug 90 feet into the B4C shaft, they couldn't help but recollect how they're just the latest addition to the generations of men who have sought their fortune on the island. They themselves will tell you about how Daniel McGuinness and his friends began digging in the aforementioned impression on the ground that is now known as the Money Pit many centuries ago in 1795. As strange as it sounds, this activity was only pursued due to the rumors that pirates and the likes had buried their treasure on Oak Island during and following the end of the piracy area. Although it was an arduous task, the boys were encouraged by the discovery of some man-made objects such as planks as the dug, believing that they must be on the verge of an amazing discovery. However, the endeavor could only go on for so long, and after they were able to dig 20 feet deep into the ground, they were forced to give up due to the fact that they were using their hands and other rudimentary tools that were only good for basic digging. Following this, many different groups and individuals made their way to the island in search of this elusive treasure. Even a former president of the United States of America is believed to have made his way to the island during this 2-century-long frenzy for gold. Unfortunately for many of them, although they were able to unearth several items such as some more planks and platforms, gold trinkets, chains, and some inscribed stone slabs, they were ultimately unable to find this evasive treasure. Regardless, this did not discourage the Lagina brothers and their crew. For nearly a decade, the Curse of Oak Island show ran as the world watched the efforts of this adventurous crew. Soon, they overcame the flooding booby trap that prevented many other excavators from finding this treasure, and soon they settled upon the B4C shaft, which they monitored closely while they dug deeply into the Money Pit area. As they approached 90 feet in the D1 cluster, which is where evidence of 15th century wooden tunnels were discovered, trace evidence of precious metals such as silver and gold were found by the excited crew. To them, this meant that they were either at the cusp of finding the location of the general area of the original Money Pit, or the next best thing, which was a tunnel that could lead them to an offset treasure chamber. As such, you can imagine that the team was filled with renewed zeal. They must be on the verge of making a huge discovery, and they weren't going to stop until they found exactly what they were looking for, that treasure chest full of gold. Going forward, every item that was dug up was met with encouraging enthusiasm, as this could mean that they were drawing closer to their target. One of such discoveries was the presence of gold in the water, which of course suggested that there must be gold nearby. However, just as they thought that they must be getting closer to the end of their task on Oak Island, they hit a bedrock some 130 feet into the B4C shaft. This seemed to bring their excavation to a screeching halt. That said, although they had to deal with the crushing disappointment of being unable to dig any further into the ground, they seemed to be encouraged by their other discoveries, which told them that there must be some treasure that's still buried somewhere below. As such, after considering the challenge that they now faced, they decided to look into new technologies that would help them continue with their excavation. Maybe one day, they would be able to succeed where their predecessors failed. Although they hoped their perseverance would pay off, the group was soon forced to reckon with an important lesson. Maybe the search for treasure isn't actually a search for gold. Maybe it's actually about uncovering the secrets of this fascinating and alluring island. Each and every effort had drawn them closer to some novel discovery, and although it may have not been the treasure they might have expected, they were still rewarded with items that clarified some of the mysteries of the island. Even the mystery of whether or not there might be some gold on the island was constantly being answered by the discovery of traces of gold and silver on the island. Going forward, however, they had also discovered the elevations for the tunnel and had also found a noteworthy artifact that offered a glimmer of hope to their endeavor. The artifact in mention was an iron spike that was discovered about 100 feet deep in the B4C shaft. Upon unearthing this artifact, the Legina brothers took this find to blacksmithing expert Carmen Legg for analysis. Immediately, Carmen was able to tell us that this was a very old rock drill that must have been used in the digging process in order to break through large rocks underneath the island's soil. It was so old, Carmen believed that it was made around the same time as the Swedish sharpening swedges that were found on Lot 21, a piece of property that was once owned by Daniel McGinnis, the original digger of the money pit. Excited about this discovery, which gave us a peek into history, the team was rejuvenated with a new form of energy as they pondered over what other historical discoveries they could make. Buoyed by this notion, the team continued digging as the world watched with anticipation, eager to see what else these guys may discover. Nonetheless, as the team approached the end of another season, they couldn't help but struggle with the conflicting feelings of excitement and confusion. Although they had made some significant discoveries during their adventure on Oak Island, they seemed to join a long list of men who never found that gold on Oak Island. For example, the discovery of the rock drill, a stone-paved area in the middle of a swamp found on the island that could be dated to 1200 AD, or the 500-year-old stone found in the southeastern part of the swamp, were truly exciting, but it never seemed to yield what they wanted: gold. Even the most exciting of these discoveries, which is the rock drill, only seemed to produce more questions than answers, as they could only wonder if this is a true clue in terms of the location of treasure on the island. As the crew made their way off the island following the conclusion of another season, the Legina brothers and their crew could only wonder if there truly is any treasure out on Oak Island. Will they ever find it? Only time will tell. As many who have recounted the tale of Oak Island will tell you, many men have made their way to the island only to leave empty-handed. Few of them would have considered just approaching the island to be a part of history. That is where they differed from the Legina brothers, who have dreamed about finding their way to the island ever since Rick Legina found a Reader's Digest when he was just a kid. Now adults, they have continued to dig tirelessly as they seek to surpass their predecessors on the island, and in a way they have as they continue to unearth the many secrets hidden underneath the island. Maybe one day they will truly be the first among many. However, that is if and only if they find treasure on the mysterious Oak Island. That's it for this video. Feel free to explore our previous videos to get your mind blown. Also, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified whenever we upload an intriguing content. Until next time, goodbye.